In this lesson, I'm going to teach you an important concept that'll help you to play up-tempo walking bass lines with a more relaxed and comfortable feel. So with that in mind, grab your bass and let's get started. Okay, so a common question that I get all the time is, how do you play up-tempo walking bass lines? You know, perception is a big part of this and is often the root cause of poor performance. A common scenario when this happens is that your walking bass lines will start to feel a bit jittery and then lack the required stamina needed to play multiple choruses of a jazz tune at fast tempos, right? But by using a simple fix to alter your perception, most people watching this lesson right now will have much more success at playing walking bass lines at much faster tempos. Now stay with me. Many years ago when I was studying with Charlie Benakis, I asked him this very same question about playing fast tempos. Albeit I was asking this question regarding soloing, but nevertheless his answer surprised me. He explained that when playing at a fast tempo such as 300 beats per minute, if you're perceiving the quarter note pulse as the beat, then it's easier to trip yourself up in the heat of the moment. He said, try lowering your perception of what the beat is closer to your own resting pulse in your body. That way you'll be able to relax at those faster tempos. So if we take the tempo of 300 beats per minute and halve that, it becomes 150. Split that in half once more and I'll get 75 BPM, which is a lot closer to my resting heart rate. A normal resting heart rate for adults is between 60 to 100 beats per minute. So just before recording this lesson, I checked mine and it was around 64. So that means that 75 BPM is a much better reference point for me to establish as the beat when playing a tune at 300 beats per minute. When Charlie told me this, it took me about a week to get used to it, but I found it extremely useful and discovered how applicable this concept was to walking bass lines. What's really interesting about this concept is discovering that quarter notes at 300 equals eighth notes at 150, which then becomes 16th notes when you get down to 75 BPM. What I also found interesting is that because the normal heart rate for adults is somewhere between 60 and 100, is that most bass players who are at around an intermediate level can very easily play quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, and 16th notes between those two tempos. So why do so many bass students struggle with this concept? Because it's all about where you perceive the beat to be. I'm going to take a simple 2-5-1 line and sequence this through the cycle of descending major seconds, which is reminiscent of the jazz standard called tune-up. Check out my body language as I play through this and notice that I'm not tense, but instead relaxed and flowing through the changes. Okay, so let me show you the line that I was playing. For demonstration purposes, what I'm going to do is take it down the octave and play it in C major for you. So the first chord is D minor 7, and what I'm playing is a root 2 flat 3, and then a chromatic approach below the root of the next chord, which is G7. So this goes like this. Okay, so the next chord is G7, and I've got a similar line. This is root 2 and then double chromatic below the root of the C major 7. So that goes like this. Then over the C major, what I'm going to have is I play the root down to the 3rd, then up to the 13, chromatic below into the 5th, and then 7, root, and 3. So that goes like this. That's going to be 2 bars. So what I want to do is I want to bring this up the fretboard to start to move this through the cycle of descending major seconds. So I'm going to start up here and I'm going to work my way down. So what happens here is I start in C major, the same line. And then I go down a whole step and I start this in B flat. Down to A flat. Down to F sharp. Down to E. Down to D. And then finally we end on C. So the way that I want to perceive where the beat is that every bar, because I have 4 quarter notes to the bar, at 75, remember what I said, those notes are going to be perceived as 16th notes against that beat. So you're just going to have a count at the beginning of every bar. So it's going to go. And that's the little thing that's going to get a little hard to get used to, because there's a lot of people that when they do start this, they kind of go, well, I'm really used to marking every single one of those quarter notes. But when it gets so fast and you're marking that, you know, it's just, you get jittery and you start to kind of, the whole thing just starts to wipe out. It's like, you know, you're riding a wave and you just suddenly just wipe out completely. So you want to be relaxed, you want to be smooth, you want to be just laying back on that wave. So that's kind of how that works. So make sure that when you're doing this, you're playing quarter notes and holding them to the full duration. This is so important when playing walking bass lines. It's one of the golden rules. I've hardly heard anyone ever actually talk about this. And the other thing, and especially at this tempo, is I don't want you to play any skips. Throw those skips out the window, because first of all, they won't work at this tempo. And secondly, even at slower tempos, it's better to get a solid quarter note holding the note at the full duration. This is the crucial, crucial secret, if there is one, about playing walking bass lines. Okay, get this together, come back, and we'll move on. You know, playing fast tempos can really be challenging, so what we need is a technology to change the way you perceive this, resulting in you becoming more relaxed and in control. Hopefully you'll find this concept of lowering your perception of the beat closer to your own resting heart rate helpful in solving this problem. Hey, if you're interested in becoming a better bass player and learning great musical content from arpeggios to grooves, then subscribe to my channel now. If you like this lesson today, then be sure to support my channel by giving it a big thumbs up. Until next time, practice smart, work hard, and play creatively.